What's going on?
Man, just some chaotic days at work and got some chaotic football that happened yesterday. So glad you decided you want to talk about it a little bit.
I mean, that's what we do on Tuesdays.
Yeah, it's been kind of the week being gone has really got me off my schedule a little bit too. So it's nice to start to get back into rhythm.
Oh, I don't know. I've been going full speed with everything, nonstop. So it's been I don't even know. It's just like I feel like I haven't stopped since like 2 weeks ago, and so I'm ready to keep rolling so I don't get myself too out of line. Keep up with everything. It's been a crazy week of football. I'm excited to talk about it, man. You know, a lot of fun stuff happened, a lot of bad stuff happened, a lot of questionable things happened. We got a little bit of it all this week.
Yeah, we have to we'll have to keep our highlight reels a little shorter today because we only got just under an hour. So I say we get right into it.
All right, well, if that is the case, Thursday night football, Commanders overcome the Bears. Carson
Ugly.
Wentz remains undefeated on Thursday night football.
Ugly. Looking forward to seeing Taylor Heineke this week coming. I think that'll be an improvement for them. I think he'll give them a spark and they might win their next game.
A lot of people that come to this channel hope not.
I don't know who they play. I haven't even looked at next week.
They got the Packers.
I'm assuming it's a Packers game. Well, that might be a taller task because I got to keep betting on the Packers until they get off their butt and start winning. But that would be a story if Taylor Heineke beats Aaron Rodgers.
I don't even think that's a story at this point. You know, if Aaron Rodgers beats Taylor Heineke, then there's a story.
That's still an ugly football game on Thursday, by the way. Just completely. It looked like college.
Nah, college is more exciting than that.
I mean,
college football, there's nothing boring about it.
That's true. But I guess what I meant was it looked like a college team playing a pro team, but on both sides reversed.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, Carson Wentz is hurt. You know, Justin Fields didn't play horrible. It's been a, rough outing, a rough year, I guess, for these two teams, which was a little bit expected. Carson Wentz being, in year one with Washington, Ron Rivera on the hot seat. Chicago's just a dumpster fire. We knew this game was going to suck. And it ended up getting a little bit better towards the end, but all in all, it pretty much just sucked.
Yeah, dude. The score was horrible. The fact that, the Bears were in the red zone 3 times and couldn't put it in the end zone are really horrible. What's up, James? Nice to see you, my friend. Thank you for stopping by and saying hey. But it was just horrible that nobody could score. And, it feels like Justin Fields has a lot of potential. It just doesn't feel like he's getting what he needs to express it.
Mark my words. Justin Fields will be a Seahawk within 2 years.
Man.
At this rate, he might be a Denver Bronco. But, we'll get to that. First game on Sunday, we got 49ers versus the Falcons. Falcons hold on to the lead all game long and get the dub.
Mariota played up to his potential. Jimmy G did not. 2 picks in that game, I think both led to touchdowns, which was the difference in the game. And Atlanta's a scrappy bunch, man. I fear them this Sunday in Bengal Stadium.
Listen, I absolutely love this Falcons team because one, all they're doing is turning heads all season long, and this Niners team was just on the rise, and they got hit with some injuries, but they were still looking like, okay, they're going to take this division with fairly with ease. And Atlanta, they have every game they've played, they kept it close, especially the games they've lost, and so they fought all season long. I don't think they're gonna stop fighting. They're not gonna go away. I think this team is turning heads. I mean, they're a half game behind Tampa, or right there tied with Tampa for the division right now. I think Tampa's got the lead, just because of the head-to-head matchup last week. But Atlanta's turning heads, and people are doubting them, and they're gonna keep going out there and proving that they deserve to be an NFL team, and that they showed it this week.
I love Arthur Smith. I think he's doing a great job. I cannot wait to see what they look like going forward. If they're going to be competitive with a very weak roster, I can't wait to see what happens when they get all that money back in free agency next year.
What's up, Nathan? Yeah, it was a good game. I didn't get to watch it, didn't get to go over the highlights, but I followed the game as it was happening a little bit. I was in here streaming the Giants and Ravens game, so I got about as much as the TV told me about at the time. But on to the next game, and it's one I shouldn't have been surprised about, but part of me was a little bit surprised. The Patriots visit the Browns and come away with the win. Mac Jones' job is currently showing that it is in jeopardy, while he's out with his injury.
Love Bailey Zappi. I think he's a very good system quarterback. I think he really responds to Belichick. Also, I have total respect for Belichick. If he decides he wants to take something away, he generally does. And took Nick Chubb out of that game, and that game looked really bad. I went back and watched some of it. Cleveland just looked really bad.
I mean, Cleveland looked bad all around, and for a minute there, they hung in this game. That historically, yes, Nathan, Pats have 5 straight over the Browns. I didn't really. That was one of the games that I didn't take history into consideration for any. I just thought that this was going to be one of those upside down games where the Browns were going to upset the Patriots, because in a weird way, that if they won, even though it was at home, it was going to be an upset. You take Nick Chubb away, you still got Kareem Hunt, and if you don't got Kareem Hunt, they've got other backup backs that can efficiently run the football on the roster. And Amari Cooper and David Njoku, the way they've been playing, and Jacoby Brissett has been more than admirable filling in. I just thought they'd put up a little bit more of a fight. I mean, kudos to Belichick. We say that every week. Other than the games that are just ugly, we say that every week. Kudos to him. Kudos to Bailey Zappi. Kudos to the Patriots defense. I think the big takeaway from this game is that Mac Jones should be worried, because even though he only played 2 weeks this season, he was not adjusting to this new offense very well at all. And Bailey Zappi picked it up in 3 quarters against Green Bay. That's something to be keeping an eye on. Either they're gonna still ride with Mac, or we're gonna see Bailey Zappi with a new home by the trade deadline. I feel like one of them won't be there, because he's probably gonna keep Hoyer on the roster once he gets healthy again.
And that's the Belichick MO, right? If he doesn't feel like they're winning, he will take a backup quarterback that has came in, a la Jimmy Garoppolo, a la Case Keenum, guys that he's had on his roster, and use them at the trade deadline for capital to try to win now. But the rumor is that he doesn't care for Mac Jones, and that was the organization pushed that one on him. So I like the idea that he's really trying to mess with the owners a little bit on that deal, the way it sounds. I mean, I know that's kind of rumor. It's not 100% accurate, but
the rumor that I read was the complete opposite, is that he loved Mac Jones. So that's what it is, being a rumor. So, yeah. We'll never get the full story until he says it himself. So, in other words, we'll never get the full story.
Yeah. Well, you'll never get the truth out of a Belichick thing, because if the truth comes out, he'll use a lie to cover it up. I mean, you know what I'm saying? He doesn't want anybody to know what's really going on in his organization. So, but like I said, that was the rumor that I read, and I can't remember which article I read it on, but it said that, that organization like Mac in that pick, but usually they give him control. So who knows?
Yeah, I mean, that's a story that everyone's keeping an eye on because it's in the whole world's interest for no reason other than the fact that it's just interesting that this third stringer, the whole Tom Brady thing, he was a 6th round pick, turned into what he turned into. And look, we thought Mac Jones might be Tom Brady 2.0, but look, what about Bailey Zappi, and like so that's a story to keep an eye on. We'll get to more as time progresses, Mac gets healthy, things like that, and so it'll be fun to watch out.
How awesome would it be to see Mac Jones on the trade table by the trade deadline this year?
I could see Mac Jones going just about anywhere and not doing well. And look, Belichick's the only guy that can make that guy do good, in my opinion.
Agreed.
On to the next game, and here was one of our many upsets of the week. The Falcons obviously was an upset because they upset a division favorite, but in my opinion, it's not an upset because right now the Falcons are a division favorite too.
Yeah.
Um, the Green Bay Packers host the GOAT, Zach Wilson, and the New York Jets, and the Jets just continue doing what they're doing. I think Zach Wilson only completed like 10 to 15 passes in this game. All of them were efficient. He was averaging like 5 yards per throw, but he still got over 100 something yards. But the ground game was phenomenal for New York, and with Breece Hall and Michael Carter, mainly Breece Hall, the rookie. The Packers just look bad. I don't know what else to say. Is the Packers look bad? I know they're shopping currently for some more wide receivers in the free agency, trade deadline, stuff like that. Um, but the Jets defense still playing incredible. They've got a bunch of rookies on defense playing well, including Sauce Gardner. This was a big upset. And in my opinion, it's turning into the Jets are turning into favorites, and so it doesn't feel like an upset to me. But people are still doubting the New York teams, despite how many games they've won this year. Not
I
many.
definitely have more faith in the Jets right now than I do the Giants. I think the Jets are a better roster and they're young and they don't know what pressure is, right? Because they're young guys. They go into Lambeau Field, and this was something that I was worried about. And then you watch the game, they go into Lambeau Field and they play like there's no pressure in the world, and they go out there and they just stomp a mud hole in Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, and they played like they owned that field. And that's what I like about the young guys. That's what I really liked about Cincinnati, last year, was that they were a young team. They played like a young team, but they got out there and did things they weren't supposed to do. The Jets are kind of mimicking that progress this year, and they look like they're headed for the playoffs. I know they probably can't win that division, but they can sure as heck get by Miami and maybe even New England right now to end up in a wild card spot.
I mean, they've already beat Miami, haven't they? That's what I'm
Yes.
saying. They got to step over Buffalo. Buffalo has not done that yet this year. And look, this is Buffalo's division to lose 100%. But what Robert Saleh is creating with these young guys, and this is why Cincinnati had so much success last year, is Zach Taylor is getting rid of the veterans and bringing in the young guys who respect him. And I was so big on that last year. Like, that is why they were doing better than the year before, is because these young guys have never had a head coach. This is their guy. This is like their father figure of the NFL. And Robert Saleh is almost doing the exact same thing. He's got veteran pieces, but this is one of the youngest teams in the league, and they're responding really well to him, and I absolutely love it. I told you the Jets were going to be something special this year, and this is before the Zach Wilson scandal. I told you they were going to do something. Now, will they collapse midseason? It's possible. They are a young roster, but I told you they were a year away, right under the playoff mark. But with some of these teams falling off, they still have an honest chance to make that push.
Yeah, Nathan, that's the question. The Bills and the Pats are really going to be tests for this team, and if they can scoop up a couple more divisional wins, you know how important getting over 500 in your division is. A couple more divisional wins, and they're going to be at least 500 in their division, and that puts them in a very good spot to make the playoffs. So They just need a couple more wins.
Look, I'm gonna ride with them until they literally die. Like, I'm going to ride with them until they die. But the Packers, they got some issues. We could spend 6 hours, diving into that. We're not going to today because it's something that we've repeated week after week. And so, one day in the near week or so, we'll dive back into that conversation. But we'll go ahead and move on to the next divisional matchup. AFC South, Jags versus Colts, turned into a shootout. Jags got a quick lead on the game. Matt Ryan completed like 58 passes or something insane in this. The offensive line protected him, but there was no run game at all, which is why he had to complete 60 passes to win, but they got a much-needed divisional win.
And much needed isn't the word. I think if they lost that game, they were about ready to clean house. I honestly believe that the house would have been clean. Probably they might even try to find a home for Matt Ryan and went completely into rebuild mode. I felt like it was that desperate. Listening to Indianapolis sports media, Kent Sterling and a few others, that's the way that they felt. And you and I talked about, this was probably Matt Ryan's last chance to put up a W, with his arm, without his running game, and he needed to perform. He didn't play great, but
his rookies did. And Alec Pierce and Jelani Woods, those two guys were everything. Michael Pittman has continued to disappoint. I could see him, even if the Colts start performing, I could see him in a trade to get somebody else in the near future in the next couple weeks before the trade deadline. He's supposed to be that guy, and he's not been that guy. No matter how many times Matt Ryan targets him, he has not been that guy, and they need a number one. And Alec Pierce, the rookie from UC, he's looking like that guy. And I said at the beginning of the year, Colts need a solid tight end that can be consistent. And I think they got it in this rookie. Look, they drafted offensive well. Their defense isn't that bad. They got pieces. They're hurting. Their offensive line played better. Nathan says the Jags can't get it done in Indy, but they almost did. They put up a much bigger fight than the Colts did in Jacksonville. They did not get shut out in this game, but you're right. It's still historic. I still think the Colts are the worst team in the division. The way they play, yes. Let's see how Houston responds after the bye, and then I will definitely be able to determine right there. But like we said, Houston is just like a buy here, pay now later. Like this is a 1-year team, and it's all going to look different next year other than the rookies.
Them and the Bears are both identical with their rosters, and Atlanta is probably very similar. Those three teams will probably be restructured next year, but Atlanta's going to have a good nucleus going forward, I think.
But the Jags looked a little rough. They still put up a lot of points, so that automatically makes them a lot better than a lot of teams. The Colts finally proved to me that they can score points, because I was starting to feel like they couldn't put up more than 14 a game, and that was just going to be them. They got a big task. They got Tennessee again next week, and to wrap up all their divisional games except for Week 17 against Houston. So that's going to be a fun one to look out for because Tennessee's also coming off of a bye. Next game we got was a rather interesting game. The Vikings went into Miami and faced the Dolphins. They did get the win, but everything that could have went wrong in Miami went wrong, and they still put up a formidable fight.
Yeah, Miami's a scrappy group. They've got a good nucleus on defense.
They're a very Atlanta Falcons-esque team without Tua. Like, really. Tua's not great quarterback, but you can tell they're missing him.
There you go. And I think they're very similar to Atlanta in that sense. So but they put up numbers, they keep fighting. It might be a testament to their coach. I don't really know yet. I'm not really sold on him yet. I don't know if he's the next coming or if he's just a placeholder type of guy. I'm not sure yet.
I think it's somewhere in the middle. They're still trying to figure that out. I think he is a good locker room guy. I think he is a good, guy to care about the players. I think he is, and it sounds weird saying that because of the Tua situation, but at the end of the day, I don't know that that was his call to allow him to come back on Sunday against Buffalo. We'll never know, but I think he's a good locker room guy, and he's good, a motivator for the guys. Whether or not he's a good coach or not, he's motivating these guys to do the right thing and, keep going forward.
Yeah, Houston did the right thing by letting Lovie Smith go back and coach that team. He's been a good head coach. He's a good placeholder for until they find who they want. He's a great defensive coordinator. He just never really thrived as a head coach, but he owns the locker room, and Houston responds accordingly. Can't wait to see them this week.
But anyway, Minnesota is still on a hot streak. No one's been able to stop them.
Kissing my coin.
I still think that Minnesota is the most suspect 4-1 team, though. Out of all of the 4-1, 5-2 teams or whatever, all the top teams, they are, in my opinion, the most suspect, and that's including adding the Jets and Giants in the mix. The Jets and Giants are special for their own reasons. The Vikings are in their own category because they may have a good record, but I still am not sold on them.
It's like they were picked to supposed to win, but you just don't feel you're actually surprised that they are. It's kind of that feeling.
Yeah, and maybe the longer over the week I think about it, I might be able to dive into it and get a true thought on that. Like I said, I've been nonstop go, 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 so I haven't been able to sit down and think too much. So I'm going to try to take some time to do that this week going into next week's games. But the Vikings are still a little sus to me.
Yeah, but that's okay. I mean, right now they're cruising for a playoff berth. I don't think anybody might be able to slow them down for that. So,
with Green Bay slowing themselves down, yes, yeah, they're going to walk into the playoffs at this point.
And we both agreed that the NFC isn't as good as it.
We knew that before the season started.
So the competition a little lower.
Yeah, agreed. Well, we're gonna get into dive deep into a lot of stuff, but today's a crunch time stream for us. So I'm gonna dive into the next one. I'm gonna let you take the reins on this. The Bengals visit Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase visit home since college and go to New Orleans and get the dub over the Saints, which was one of the best games of the week in my opinion.
I really don't want to praise my Bengals as much. They played a really good game. They did what they needed to do to come back and win. My praise is for New Orleans. They put up a lot of points in the first half. They built a lead against a team that's not giving up a lot of points. They showed good offense. They were able to run the ball. They were able to and Cincinnati's got a very good run defense. So my kudos go to the Saints. They really surprised me. I did not think that their offense would be as good as it was. Cincinnati did get them shut down in the second half, but they had an opportunity to win.
They shut everybody down in the second half. That's who they are this season.
And they did, but that's the only way they were going to win that game because New Orleans played a great first half. I still think New Orleans is a team that's still looking for an identity, but I think they're starting to find it. I think they're finding a little something with Andy in there. He's not giving away games like Jameis was, and they're competitive. So I really look forward to watching them this week.
So I'm on the actual opposite side of you, and I know every now and then we take opposite stands, but my praise, look, I had the high hopes for the Saints this season, and they were a slight letdown, but especially since Andy Dalton's been back, I've had them set to a standard, and they have met that standard every week, win or lose. So my praise goes out this week to Cincinnati. It is not easy playing in New Orleans. It's not easy playing in that dome. It's not, that environment is hectic. And, there are a lot of Saints fans down there. Now, there are a lot of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase fans down there, but there are a lot of Saints fans. And, the Bengals proved something to me that I needed to see from them. They have won their last couple games, but they something, and I can't even pinpoint it right now, but I was looking for something in this Cincinnati team that has been missing all season, and whatever it is, because I'm too scatterbrained, I saw it in this game. And so my hats go off to them because I thought this was a lock. The Saints were going to win this game, and they came in there and proved that they do have a dog in them, and they are not just slipping into their old careless ways, and they're able to grow a little bit as a football team, because they did start off slumping, but a lot of things, this defense, this offensive line, Joe Burrow's, growth as a quarterback, everything just improved at least by 2 points in each category this week. And hats off to them. I'm never going to disrespect them, but I'm very happy with how they played.
It was definitely a maturity process for them in this game, because where they had failed earlier in the season in games like this, they played better. That's true. The other thing about this game is that, straight up, I don't know if anybody has mentioned it or not, but the ability of one of the defenders on that team that nobody talks a lot about anymore, since he's been around for about 10 years, is Demario Davis. He had, at the linebacker position, he had 9 tackles and 2 sacks in that game. And for a veteran that's been around that long playing the linebacker position for the Saints, he played probably the best defensive game for the team. And, that's not the guy I expected to be top-notch on the defense. So there's a very big kudo right there. So
I'm happy with both of these football teams. Both teams don't have the record they think they should have, but I'm watching them both grow so much each week. And this was, despite, like I said, despite the loss, a huge step up for the Saints, even from last week and the week before combined. This was a bigger step than any step they've taken all season. And I think the exact same thing for Cincinnati.
Yeah, you know what? That's the thing, man. The cap space is really going to be tricky for them at the end of this year. I don't know how many years he has on his contract, but he's a 10-year pro now. So he's got to be 33, 34 years old in that ballpark. I mean, if they have another year on the contract, it might be a great, a loaner for the end of the season, a la, Von Miller. I mean, the same type of scenario. Man, if they want to trade him, I'll sure take him.
I would take a pass rusher right now.
Yeah,
or a new left tackle. I'll take a pass rusher or a left tackle because I want Orlando Brown Jr. gone, and we're almost there, so I'll talk about that then. But
let's keep rolling.
Next game, another big upset of the week, and the only reason it's an upset to me is because I don't like picking against history, but the Ravens go to New York, New Jersey to take on the New York Giants, and the Giants just continue to wreck everybody.
Yeah, and
this is Lamar Jackson's first loss in his career to an NFC team.
I got 2 words about the Giants, and I'm going to go back to a few years ago. I think it boils down to Saquon Barkley. I don't think it has a lot to do with the quarterback or the offensive scheme. I think having an efficient, dominating type of running game is giving them the tools they need to win. If he gets hurt, they may not win another game.
I don't know. This coach, Daboll, he's incredible. Like I'm sure they're kissing his feet after every single game. Like seriously, like this guy is he looks like he's coaching like Bill Belichick is coaching. He's taking anybody who is willing to try their best and putting them in there and having them succeed. And Kenny Golladay will be gone at the trade deadline or cut, one of the two. And that will remove and add space for new and people who want to play football. And I think they're just going to get better with or without Saquon. Look, Saquon is a workhorse, but the backup's not that bad.
No, I mean, Baltimore played admirable defense against him this week, but he was the focus of their defense. And they focused him, and he still rushed for almost 100 yards. He got 80-some yards plus a touchdown. And then he's still effective in the passing game as well. And that was with them trying to stop him, because that's what Baltimore does. They do the same thing that Belichick does. They try to take something away, and they try to take away Barkley and couldn't quite do it.
Yeah, I'm with Nathan. I think it goes more to Harbaugh coaching this year. I think he's been a little suspect as well.
I thought that last
Um, and the Giants, look, you can say what you want about Saquon Barkley, but I think all the praise still goes to the Giants defense because they're starting to like run out of guys, man, because everyone's going out with injury and they haven't slowed down a bit on defense.
year. Okay, well, let's roll.
Next game, my favorite game of the entire week. Win, lose, tie, doesn't matter. My favorite game of the week. The Buccaneers go into Pittsburgh and take a big fat L, and Brady's caught screaming at his entire offensive line and cussing them out on the sideline. No tablets broken, but a lot of F bombs dropped.
You know, benching Trubisky and then having to bring him back in being motivated, I think the guy's just kind of a lethargic slug. He got benched, he got his butt hurt, and then he comes into the game and helps finish it off and win. But that's Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin can do that to people. He knows how to motivate players. They don't have the most talented offensive roster right now. Their line is still a mess.
They have no offensive line, like
Yeah,
none.
yeah, and to come away and beat Tampa Bay, which has probably one of the top 10 overall defenses and probably a top 5 defensive line that stops the run the way that they normally do, to go to beat them even at home is a really good win for Pittsburgh. Kudos.
Man, baby Brady throwing a tantrum like always. No, dude, seriously, when I saw the final score, I got a text from Rob that day. He's like, "Man, your boy Tom's not looking very good." And I was like, he's been texting me every week because he doesn't want me to call him and give him crap. And so I just ignore them. But I'm just like, listen, you and all of the other, Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans can go crawl in your hole in a year or two when he's gone, and we won't have to deal with that anymore. But kudos to Mike Tomlin. He is the second Bill Belichick of the league. He can do anything with nothing, even though Pittsburgh's offense has looked horrible this year. Their offensive line is non existent. So Najee Harris is not getting the production he wants to get. But he's got it done. Kenny Pickett out with like a thumb injury or something, and he's day to day right now. He might be back next week, and then Mitch Trubisky coming in and just sealing the deal. Like he finished it off. The offensive line for Tampa Bay just looks worse every week, and Brady is getting very upset, and it's clear. We all see it. A great win. This might be the motivation to push Pittsburgh to actually winning, coming back into the picture because everyone's already wrote them off. No matter how good Pickett's played, they're still losing. Like he put up 300 yards on Buffalo's defense. They got slaughtered in that game, but he was the only promising piece in that game. So no matter what, I think this might be the motivational push to just put them right back in the mix with everybody else because they're not all that far behind, in my opinion.
No, they're only a half game out.
That's what I'm saying. Especially within the division currently, everybody's kind of slumping. They're trying to figure out who they are. Everybody in the AFC North is trying to find their identity right now. Um, the Bengals learning the hard way of what it feels like to lose a Super Bowl. The Ravens with coaching issues and defense issues. Pittsburgh we just discussed, and then the Browns. They're just patiently waiting for Week 11 to get Watson and try to get their, if that even happens at this point, but get their season back all the way in their control. So Pittsburgh is gonna be a sleeper, man. Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season. I called it that this year would be his first, and he's doing everything in his power to make sure I'm wrong. And that's fine. If he can do it, good on him.
Let's keep rolling.
The next game, my interesting game of the week, the Panthers go and play against the Rams. And for the first half of this game, you would think that the Panthers were a legitimate football team, but you got to think about who was throwing the ball for the Rams. Matt Stafford throws a pick six, keeps his game close, and inevitably turns around, pummels them in the second half, gets the win as expected. But the Panthers are about to unload a bunch of guys. They look horrible. They're in rebuild, but I just feel like they're gonna upset a couple teams for no reason this year.
Yeah, it'll probably happen just because we pick the other way when it comes time, just because
But
that's the way the world
the
works. But
Rams lost another offensive line piece for the rest of the season. This line's just gonna keep getting worse if they don't start bringing guys in, and
they're,
they're
they're
very close to just completely crumbling.
yeah, yeah, you're right. And Matt Stafford's getting beat to death, and we know he's a better quarterback than what he's played this year, because obviously he has the ability.
He doesn't have OBJ anymore, and now he looks almost useless, even with Cooper Cup. So I mean, like I don't know. I think it's the guys around him make him look good.
I think it's the lack of Andrew Whitworth this year on that
I mean,
offensive.
I think offensive line, yes, run game, yes, but
You,
he lost star players, and all of a sudden he can't be a star anymore. He sounds like Tom Brady.
I
Like
mean,
okay, let's be honest here. You know, Tom
well, I mean,
Brady excels with top 10, top 5 talent.
that's a
Um,
great analogy, though.
but I'm not trying to debate with anybody today, but like look at what's happening in Tampa right now.
I just go back to looking at some of the god awful teams that he had in Detroit and put up, all pro type numbers when he was in Detroit. And I know that just everything seems to be decimated, going the wrong way in LA right now. But
Plus,
I
the
still think,
defense is a little sus still. He had a top 5 defense last year, and okay, he looked so much better last year. Look, Tom Brady has a top 5 defense. He plays good. When his defense plays bad, he plays bad. So, it's fair. It's a fair argument whether you want to like defend Brady or not. Like, it's just the facts. It's right there. I can't tell you how good or bad Matt Stafford really is. Like I don't even know. I feel like I don't know anything anymore. But the Rams have got a lot to work on, and the Niners leading the division slumping really helps them out. But you got to keep an eye out for Seattle and Geno Smith,
got to
which
roll.
coincidentally is the next game. The Cardinals visit the Seahawks. Seahawks get the upset, and I only call this an upset even though it's a home game, is because the Cardinals are only good on the road. Like they're not good at home. They're only good at the road, and that's how it's been for 2 years now. And they get a much needed win to keep them relevant as well. And the Cardinals did lose Hollywood Brown for most likely the rest of the season, but they turned around and got Robbie Anderson from the Panthers because he got kicked off the team, and they got him for a
Uh,
bag of chips. DeAndre Hopkins will be back this week too.
yeah. So, well, and that's what you're gonna see the difference that DeAndre makes. But I really felt like that they had an opportunity to go in here and get this win. That's why I picked them this week. But Kyler Murray just keeps showing me that he's not worth the money he got paid.
Oh yeah, and the new Call of Duty comes out in 10 days, so we'll see how long his average play lasts before it's completely bad.
Keep rolling, baby girl.
Next one, my heartbreaker for the week, which I'm gonna say was the easiest game for me to ever get over. The Bills come to Arrowhead and they exercise their demons and get the win. Off of a Mahomes interception on their game winning drive or whatever. Um, yeah, like I said, this was the easiest loss I've ever gotten over. Um, it really felt very the Buffalo just had their Super Bowl kind of win, and that's how it felt last year when the Chiefs lost to the Bills. Now the Chiefs were a lot worse last year this time when they lost to the Bills than they are now. But everyone's crowning Josh Allen the king, and I'm like, okay, they're averaging 30 plus points a game. We held them to 24. I don't feel like you need to crown him of anything for that, and we still put up 20. Is Josh Allen a great quarterback? Yes, he's an excellent quarterback. Do I still think Patrick Mahomes is a better quarterback? I do. But, bad things happen, miscommunication. I don't even know why that last interception happened. I never went back and looked at it. I was like, I'm not going back. I'm not dwelling. Um, I don't know what happened. In my opinion, I think he thought it was a free play that someone jumped. And, on Twitter, I saw that speculation that someone had jumped Von Miller, and that's what happened. I don't know, but it is what it is. The Bills are a great football team. The Chiefs are still a great football team. What Dave comes in here and says all the time, you can't go 13-4 without losing 4 games. So
Well, and you know what? Just call it exactly what it is. It looked like the two best teams in the AFC faced off against each other. You have an opportunity. You flip a coin. Who knows who's going to win? It could be either of them since they're both talented. And then you just got to let it go and move on.
Yeah, and I'm not even gonna go anywhere near officiating because I don't care. I don't think it affected this game at all. Um, and I think that's where I'm at this season. Officiating's been so bad across the league that I'm not even gonna. I'm gonna try not to get too upset about it for anybody. But the Bills, great football team. Chiefs, great football team. Both dealing with injuries. And both these teams are gonna continue to get better. We'll probably see each other again in the playoffs, and I look forward to that.
Yes, it's going to happen. I'm sure.
Next game, Sunday Night Football. Cooper Rush is handed his first loss as a starter as he faces the only undefeated and continued to stay undefeated Philadelphia Eagles. And what started out a very lopsided affair, the Cowboys got back into this game, and Cooper Rush 3 interceptions, pretty much they got 17-0 off of 2 interceptions, and then it just got better off of the third interception, which pretty much solidified the Eagles win.
Yeah, there's not much to say here. The Eagles clearly look like the best team in the NFC. Kudos to you for picking that preseason. And they played like it. They got the win. They got the turnovers. Dallas played admirable. They're a good team. They're going to be there too in the playoffs this year. I can almost guarantee it. You might see 3 teams out of the East in the playoffs. Never thought you would hear me say that. It's going to be really close. If the Giants,
Dak will be back next week, so I think the Cowboys runs over. But
yeah, that remains to be seen. But as it looks right now, you could have 3 from that East, which hasn't happened since the mid '90s. I don't think, where they all played well.
What's up, Ben, Lindsay, and Puppet? Thanks for joining us here tonight. Yeah, I mean the Eagles just look good. Oh, what's up, Shane? The Eagles look great. The Cowboys looked, other than the turnovers, they still looked good. Good. This was the first in our, we talked about this. This is the first real test for this Eagles defense, and they succeeded.
Really fast. Kubat, you missed it, bro. We were talking good about your Steelers, and it probably will never happen again. So sorry you're late.
Yeah, Steelers still are poverty. They just beat Tom Brady, so they're my hero this week.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. There you go, Shane. One more compliment. It came out of her mouth.
Last game of the week, Broncos versus Chargers, and this is the one game I'm gonna say that the officiating truly pissed me off. Like,
yeah, I want to. I just really fast before we do this. I want to read that. I want to read that to you and tell me if you read it the same way I do. This is opportunity to catch a fair catch in the game. This is the rule, and I don't understand why they acted like it wasn't a penalty. Contact with a receiver. It is interference if a player of the kicking team contacts the receiver or causes a passive player of either team to contact the receiver before or simultaneous to his touching the ball. And you heard on the broadcast that that's not how they called that. And I'm really curious to why that wasn't really brought up in the rules. I mean, I didn't get to really listen to it, but I felt like that has been the rule forever, and I really felt like that was a penalty. What was your take?
It didn't. Nothing about that sat right with me. It all just seemed false. But the officiating was sus in this game way before that penalty, so I can't imagine this was any different. Like, I had so many issues with this game. I hated that call. I think they should have at least re-kicked it at the very least, or gave him penalty yards from the spot. I think, yeah, I didn't like it, but
met the requirement for interference.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that much about it. Apparently, none of us do because we all thought it was the wrong call, and that's not the call they went with. So we're all wrong, and the refs are right, just like they have been all season long. But
True.
my issues started way before this. There was a roughing the passer penalty on Russell Wilson, and I was okay with that one. He hit him low, even though he did not start low. His hands were up above his waist. But the way that it looks, I understand why the referee called that. It's non-reviewable, so it's what they see. Look, I'm not mad about that one, but the one on Justin Herbert. They said it was helmet to helmet, and that's why they called it. But they said he dove his helmet into Herbert's helmet. I did not see that. They were both standing. Um, Mine is cooler, but
Hers is really cool.
anyway, I didn't see an aggressive helmet to helmet kind of. His head didn't move any. They were both standing by the end of the play. No one went to the ground. And then they hit the one guy with 4 PI calls, the rookie corner or whatever, and only about 2 of them were PI. It was just at first it just felt like this game was just really favoriting the Broncos, but then I realized that they just did not know what they were doing in this game. Ugly game. Denver still sucks. But and then go over to the Charger side. I absolutely hate Brandon Staley, man. Also, thank you, Puppet. But I think the whole situation with the kicker, look, even if the kicker was like, I'm fine, there was no way they should have ever let him continue to kick after every time they let him, he fell to the ground in so much pain. Like, I don't think that should have been allowed. And Staley's already been caught in some little suspect situations with injured players. Justin Herbert, their tight end Gerald Everett. There's been a couple situations. So I don't know if it is Staley, if it is the players. I don't know. Herbert not
Yeah,
being young enough to put my little pony
leaving
in place.
leaving an injured player on the field that's not the quarterback right now did not seem like the smart thing to do. The way the league's initiative in protecting players, and then to watch him be in pain and make him go back out there and kick and kick and kick again because you wanted to win the game.
I was sad for him. And the most sad part about this was the post-game interview with the kicker. The
Yes.
lady straight up asks him about it, him continuing to come out there, and he turns around and literally diverts it completely. And he turns to his religion, saying he wants to thank, God for letting him do this. He sounded scared for the rest of his career. Um, I don't know, like, it seemed like he was avoiding things to, not answer that question, so it seems a little sketchy, a little suspect. Um, I don't know, I didn't like it. I don't know where he went, but I didn't like it. Wilson has no answers for blitzes on 3rd down. That is true. What do you mean Broncos suck? They have Russ. I don't know how long they're gonna have Russ, man, to be honest. I don't want to hear the excuses of the injuries of the Chargers O-line because Fields is a worse O-line and almost dies every day. Now, I'm not even going to blame the O-line. Look, the Broncos defense is good. The O-line is not as good as it was last year for the Chargers. But, they've showed moments of greatness against good defenses. So, I'm not going to give anybody an excuse. The only thing I have is like, my issue with this game is 100% the whole kicking situation. Like, that's what won them the game. I get that. Look, everybody wants to win their game, but like, you're putting this man's career in jeopardy. And I don't care what he says to you. I don't care if he says he's good. The whole world could see that he wasn't. Everybody saw it.
Yeah, the perception of that just makes Staley look worse, right? In my
And
mind.
you know what? Go ahead and keep Staley and Hackett in the division because, the way that they coach and everything, I'm not gonna have anything to worry about at that point. Like, they both suck. These guys are gonna be on the hot seat very soon, especially if there any kind of investigation goes on about Staley and injured players. Like, I feel like this could end up being blown up pretty big.
Yeah, his track record's not looking good for being a guy that is looking for his players to be healthy.
Look, he's got a great team. He landed in a good spot, man. And like, I think the only person who's gonna mess it up is him. He's got talent.
Yeah,
Also, in this game, Justin Herbert set the record of number of like pass attempts or pass completions. without throwing a passing touchdown and still winning. Like, he set a record right there, so that's almost impressive in a weird way.
And we got to roll here soon. But the question that I want to leave you with, Staley, is Staley came over as the DC from the Rams, right? He was the hot up and coming defensive coordinator, but yet I don't feel like their defense has performed in the manner that it should have. Is that
Their
fair?
defense is the worst part of that team. Their special teams, fine. Their offense, fine. Despite injuries, all of those sections are fine. But their defense is the worst part of that team.
And that's the part that was his expertise. So what is he providing as a coach?
Hurting his players? I don't know. Like,
I'm just it's an obvious point to make.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. Look, hands are up. I don't like this guy. I thought I liked him. Last year I gave him the benefit of the doubt, being a young head coach, blah blah blah. But
yeah, that's a good one, Nathan. They did bench J.C. Jackson in that game.
Yeah, see, everything is a little sus. Look, J.C. Jackson did get a payday. Sometimes star players underperform once they get money. Like, that happens sometimes, but also star players underperform if they're not put in a position to succeed either.
Wow, man, we did good on getting through the games tonight. It's roll time.
We'll be back tomorrow for our Thursday night preview. We actually have a solid game ahead of us. Saints versus Cardinals. I'm kind of excited to watch it, not gonna lie. I do have a couple updates. I did finally get Madden, and I am working on notes for a video that's probably gonna make everybody angry, except for like probably 4 people. I don't know. I'm excited about that. I've got a lot of things. I've got a lot of notes here, and yeah, I don't know. I have a lot of stuff that I'm working on. I'm ready for.
Getting there as well. It's getting ready. We're really getting ready to hit our heavy stride part of the season, man. We're going to be in here a lot. So I hope you guys will continue to join us and see a bunch of different stuff.
Also, before you go, question out of left field, Shane, is there a video of what's in your cabinet of curiosities on your channel?
Oh, is there a video on what's in it? No, there is not, but there's a lot of really good stuff back there. Just a quick one that might interest the group is there's 3 of the original Mountain Dew aluminum bottles. I have the entire collection. I just haven't put it all in there. There's some miscellaneous sports memorabilia. Peyton gave me a football card of Joe Burrow. Also, there is some Civil War history stuff.
I feel like he just gave you a good idea for making a video.
I mean, I could. I got a ton of stuff that I want to display that I just haven't figured out a way to do so yet. But it's going to be my mixed match of sports and history, so it'll be fun to finish when I'm done with it.
I see that you finally moved the camera back over there as well.
I do it both ways. I'm doing one. I like doing the sports here, looking over the fireplace, so that I can watch TV and it look like I'm looking at the camera. And then when we're doing the metal detecting or whatever, I come over here where I'm on my computer that I want to be on.
Fair enough. But we got some fun stuff coming. We will be back live tomorrow night to preview Thursday Night Football. I get off work earlier than I did tomorrow, so we will be here at a reasonable hour, not starting at 9:30, which I don't really like to do. But that's all I got for today. Good stuff coming. We'll be back tomorrow.
Papa wants a refund.
I mean, I want a refund too.